Premier League is tough right now. Over the past 2 seasons, the 3 teams that have gotten relegated at the bottom of the table have all been the teams that have been promoted from the Championship the previous season. Both years this has happened. In fact, the gap was so big last year at 13 points that it saved an awful Tottenham team from relegation, basically, with 40 points. Often being the safe zone needed to avoid relegation. So 40 points is usually, okay, I'm safe. And then they got fucking 38. The standards in the Prem are now extremely high, with tough, demanding, physical battles all over the pitch, non-stop running for 90 minutes for every player on the pitch, up and down, all game, attacking, defending. It's non-stop. It's a lot more physical than other leagues. The gap between the Premiership and the Championship is getting larger and larger. The quality between all of those teams is getting significantly more, which is leading to that consistency of teams getting sent down. It's harder to stay up. And in the Championship, the 3 teams at the top don't simply get promoted. The top 2 get an automatic promotion slot, while the teams from 3rd to 6th place enter a playoff tournament for the remaining slot. At the end of the season, Sunderland were 4th, a massive 14 points behind Sheffield United, who were ahead of them in 3rd. And due to Sheffield United's good form, they sort of look poised to, easily win the playoffs. And at the time, Sunderland were in extremely bad form. At the end of the season, they lost their final 5 games of the season. So, you would have thought earlier in the season they had a pretty good chance of even getting automatic promotion. But no, they just shit the bed. If a Sunderland fan was not cutting their hair until Sunderland lose 5 games in a row, then they'd be bald as fuck. Sunderland came up against Coventry in the semi-finals of the playoffs. They had just been beaten by them 3-0 in March, so it looked difficult again for Sunderland to win, but thanks to a wild goal in the 123rd minute, 123rd, extra time of extra time, scored by an ex-Arsenal player, by the way, Dan Ballard. They managed to get into the finals. Clutch shit. They almost had to go to penalties. Who knows? So they came up against Sheffield United in the finals, obviously beat them by 14 points. And it looked bad starting off. They went a goal down in the first half, but, luckily Sunderland mustered some courage, getting a goal back in the 76th minute. And obviously got into a bit of a roll. They've got the fucking momentum now. And they scored again in the final minute of the game, 95 minutes in. Okay, so just like in the semis, they secured the win from another late goal right at the end, and they won promotion. That's 2 last-minute goals to completely change the fate of a club that had been struggling heavily since February. That is, as they say, football heritage. It's the famous Jose Mourinho quote. That is football heritage. And to make things worse for Sheffield United, after not getting that promotion, they now sit 23rd in the Championship after 15 games, and they look pretty likely to get relegated into League One, the 3rd tier of English football, because they are dog shit right now. It just shows how quickly the fates can change in this sport, how things can go from a high, we're going to be playing in the Premier League 1 minute, we're winning in the playoff final, you're going to get fucking relegated into the 3rd tier. It's crazy. Promotion into the Premier League is huge. Okay, so this year is estimated to bring Sunderland 200 million in extra revenue due to the broadcast rights of the league. And Sunderland is a big club with a big history. They've won the league 6 times. The same number of times that Chelsea has won it, and 4 more wins than Tottenham. But let's put pieces of shit aside. Sunderland last won the league in 1936, pre-World War fucking II. So, while they have history, they have no modern relevance. And having to watch their main rivals, Newcastle, stay near the top year after year, it sucks for them. They even had to watch Newcastle win their first trophy in 70 years last year. And clearly, they took it personally. They said, we can't have these fuckers winning up at the top all this time while we, linger down in the championship, whatever. So they took that newfound revenue, thanks to the promotion, and they were able to go hard in the transfer window, spending 155 million. Okay, the 4th highest spend in the league, although they still managed to sell £40 million worth of players, including Jude Bellingham's brother Job. What kind of fucking naming convention is that? Jude and Job Bellingham. Like, what the fuck? And Job Bellingham also went to Dortmund, like Jude did. And yeah, it was looking really good, but everyone really started to pay attention to Sunderland when they signed one player, one single man, Granit Xhaka. Now, you might be asking me, Richard, Granit Xhaka? Oh, I know all about him. What? Why would signing a 33-year-old Swiss midfielder from Bayer Leverkusen be considered by almost everyone the best signing of the summer? A lot of people are saying this is the smartest move in a while. But, he's past his prime. He's just left the Bundesliga. Let me run it back for you, okay? 2015, Granit is playing for Borussia Mönchengladbach. He's doing great, captaining the side, and he earned a spot in the Bundesliga team of the season. They got 3rd in the league. And that's a smaller club, so it was an impressive achievement. So next year, he signed for a little English club known as Arsenal. Of course it was Arsenal. After Arsenal had just failed to secure a deal for the legendary Leicester player N'Golo Kante, who helped Leicester go towards their crazy out of nowhere Premier League win in 2016. They just beat Arsenal, who we came second, unfortunately. So yeah, Granit was great for Arsenal, winning 2 FA Cups and eventually becoming captain in 2019. Unfortunately, his relationship with the club turned sour as he consistently began getting red cards for silly challenges, stupid tackles, and when taken off against Crystal Palace, he was booed by the fans, which is, it's sort of like the worst moment in a player's career often if he's booed by the fans. And he turned to the fans and told them to fuck off, basically. The then manager of Arsenal, Unai Emery, stripped him of his captaincy due to his conduct, and Granit had to take a leave of absence from the team, basically. Was how severely bad the relationship began to get, and it looked set that he was going to leave in the January transfer window. But luckily for Granit, Emery was sacked, and a young manager called Mikel Arteta came in to try and rescue the club from the position they were in. Xhaka was prepared to leave. His bags were packed. The deal was done. The flights were booked. But Arteta wasn't having it. He came to Granit and he pleaded with him to stay, telling him he was misunderstood and vital to Arsenal's success. He could see a player in there that wanted to win, that had the capability to win, but just, had gone through a bad patch. And it was foolish to let him go. And Arteta was right. Due to his renewed confidence, Xhaka stayed and began playing incredibly. helping Arsenal to another FA Cup win and Arteta's first trophy in his first season as manager. And Xhaka was a huge part of that. He was a huge part of the 22-23 season, which was the first time Arsenal really looked like they could win the Premier League, basically since 2006. And his leadership in that time was key to Arteta's success. Arsenal really would have won in that season if Saliba hadn't been injured. So he really should be a Premier League winner if things hadn't gone bad towards the end of the season. And, that summer of 2023, he decided to leave because he felt like it was time. He wanted to leave Arsenal sort of on a high of his playing form, in a good relationship with the fans, and he wanted to pursue new challenges. And so, yeah. He went to Bayer Leverkusen in the Bundesliga, and there he did something remarkable. Leverkusen, in that year that Xhaka arrived, won the German league invincible, with not a single loss, only wins and draws. Something only done by Arsenal in the Premier League. And Leverkusen's invincible season is so impressive because Bayern Munich is so unbelievably dominant in that league, having won the Bundesliga 11 times in a row prior to Leverkusen's victory. It's unreal. So it's just an incredible achievement for that team to be able to do that. And last year, everybody in that team scattered. 2 players went to Liverpool. The manager, Xabi Alonso, who used to play for Liverpool and Real Madrid, is now the manager of Real Madrid. So everybody from that team is sort of scattered across the winds. One of their players, Piero Hincapié, is on loan with us right now, and he's been great at left back. He's just come off injury, so he hasn't had much chance to show himself. But it was a strong team, and Xhaka was an integral part of that. Now he's at Sunderland, and they sit in the top 5 of the Premier League on the same amount of points and with the same goal difference as champions Liverpool, which is frankly insane. They're 1 point off Man City and are ahead of Chelsea and Man United, 2 of the biggest clubs in the world, with the other 2 promoted clubs sitting just outside the relegation zone, closer to the bottom of the table. It's not just about some sudden collapse of the competition. In fact, it's the level of competition that makes this so impressive, and a huge amount of that is to do with this guy, Granit Xhaka. And Sunderland fans all over Twitter are basically saying he's the best player to ever play for their team. It's unreal. They love this guy already, and he's scoring bangers, he's getting assists, and he brings a seniority to the team. And he's their captain, and he helps them with experience, with winning experience. He knows how to win. And Granit has basically said that Arteta changed his life. He credited him with a rejuvenation of his career. And for the first time, he'll face Arteta and Arsenal today as an opponent instead of as part of the team. I mean, personally, I still love the guy, and I think he'll get a lot of love from the Arsenal fans when he returns, and I will unfortunately be praying for his downfall, because this season we need every point we can get. And maybe Xhaka will pull out one of his classic red cards for old time's sake. Who knows?